Hello, boys. This is Dr. Infinity, and welcome to the Trough.
Care to join me in a belt of scotch?
It's 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but I haven't slept in days. Last chance. Oh, yeah.
This week, I'm going to be talking about Anvil. Anvil is the Iron Age magazine. If you don't know what the Iron Age is, it's I guess maybe a confederation, like a loose kind of grouping of writers, artists, creative people outside of the mainstream, and they're working at bringing quality back, not really political stuff, just good stories, focusing on customers, that type of thing. I got my Iron Age Magazine issue 1. I backed this a while ago, and I thought I'd do a review on it. Off the bat, first thing, this is a recommendation from me. I have the links down below where you can find the Iron Age website, and from there it'll link you to a campaign for actually issue 2, which I've also backed. But from there you can also find where you can buy issue 1. I think they have some overstock for issue 1, but otherwise I think you can just get it digitally, right? So you can do that if you're interested. This video will be me reviewing issue 1 with spoilers. And I'm also going to talk about some other media stuff at the end, just kind of briefly why I don't really have any other videos this week. I was kind of supposed to, but it didn't work out. I did have some issues with with Anvil, but I still liked it overall. It's still a recommendation from me, but it's not perfect. But there are a few little things I had some problems with. And this, opposed to some of the other anthologies I review, like the Bizarre Archives, Agion, DMR, there's another one, what was it, Swords and Maidens. This is kind of in that sphere, but it's a bit different because those are just really here's a bunch of short stories or excerpts type of thing. This has a lot of interesting stuff going for it. It's also just physically very different from those, where those are just the little books, right? We have this full-fledged magazine with this really nice quality paper and cool graphics and all that, nice images and everything inside. But this is a mix of stories, reviews. They have a comic preview. There's a lot of ads for other indie works. Some don't really look like my thing. Others I have reviewed on this channel, and there's a few that piqued my interest, so that's all interesting. Before I get into spoilers, because we're just going to kind of dive in, my heavies, that's why I kind of like to do at the start of these reviews, is here are my heavies. Here are the stories I really do recommend. Fleet of Thesis and Codename Ghost. Those are my 2 picks for this. Without wasting any more time, we begin with Thief of Perun. This is just about a boy. He's a thief, right? And he's looking for his dad. Sword and sorcery stuff. I thought it was fine. I think this is all right. Definitely not bad. And I think there's supposed to be a follow-up to this, continuing with this character and going more into the setting. And I'm yeah, I think I'd probably check it out. So I thought Thief of Perun was, it was fine. But yeah, Fleet of Thesis, this was wow, really good. Really want to read more by this author. I think it's, very solid. It's science fiction, and it's about this crew that's they're just their people are scavengers now. It's they're the remnants of Earth, and they're just looking for useful parts to keep their fleet together. And they're caught between these 2 giant powers. One seems to be a theocracy, and the other, I don't know, capitalist, communist, whatever, right? It's just 2 massive powers, and they're caught in the middle trying to keep their identity. They're trying to keep their identity. They're trying to keep who they are and their freedom. And interesting. I'd really love to read more in the setting or just other things by this author. Very cool. Next, we have a review, which is something that the other kind of publications I've looked at, they don't really have, at least from what I've seen. Maybe a little bit here and there, but it's definitely more pronounced here with reviews. This is a review for Deathbringer by Katie Room, and I'm interested. I'm interested in reading Deathbringer. I've actually ordered it, and I'll probably do a review at some point. Once I get around to it, I have some other things in the way first. But yeah, that looked cool. Comic book preview, Ghost to the Badlands. That's by Razorfist and George Alex Polis. Yeah, it seemed okay. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I would like back it. It seems fine, like, so maybe if the price is right, maybe just digitally. But yeah, it seemed all right. Affair of the Unquiet Grave. This was fine. This is like a Victorian ghost story kind of a thing. I did have a small issue at the end. Overall, one, I just want to say I like my reviews just to obviously be honest. I don't like to blow smoke up anyone's ass or anything like that because I don't really see that as a beneficial review. But I also don't want to be like too critical and like too mean as well. So this was just, and overall, like the editing I thought was really good. Maybe there are a few like smaller things that I just kind of overlooked, but I'll have it up on screen. But it's page 49 and 50. At the bottom of page 49, it's, "Cheer up, Georgie. I managed a grim smile. I'll stand witness for you, but I think the coroner's inquest will be the least of your worries." And how's that? And page 50, "Why just think of what the papers will say? I'm not put on trial for the murders myself." And then, we just have a repeat of the "cheer up, Georgie" thing. Yeah, small editing thing here, just small editing thing. It's fine, but it's just something I noticed, so I thought I'd point it out. Because that was like probably the biggest thing I saw editing wise that was a problem. Apparently this guy, the author Owen G. Tabbard, has written for DMR's Samhain Sorceries, and like I've read that, and I reviewed it. I liked it. He did Eye of Baylor and that, and I thought that was cool, man. I thought that was cool. I'll promote DMR. If you go to their website, I've done reviews for a few of their books, and I've liked them. You can get a free book from them, Infernal Bargain. You just have to sign up for their mailing list, and like one of like the best stories that I've read like recently, it's really good, is In Infernal Bargain by Mark Taverna. It's called Black Genesis. I think it's great. It's definitely worth everyone's time to check out. But Eye of Baylor, that's really cool too. But if you just like, hey, I haven't read any DMR, I think Infernal Bargain is a great place to start. Brigands of the Moors, that's next. And this is about like there's this knight and his drake, and they're part of a religious order, and they're protecting this tithe, which is being attacked by some bandits. And I had some issues with this. I had some issues with Brigands of the Moor, and I'm just, not trying to be mean, but going to talk about it. Overall, I will say in this story, adverbs are greatly overused, quite a bit. Actually, it was a persistent problem I had with this story. I think the overall premise and all that is like, it's fine. I think, it's fine. It's decent stuff. But on page 58, and I'm just, not trying to harp on like every little thing here, but it's on like page 58. We've established that this bandit, who is like the last bandit, it's just him, the priest, and the drake, right? They're the only ones left, but it's this guy fearfully does something, like he gasps fearfully, he recoils fearfully, he does looked at him fearfully. On page 58, there's 5 instances of the word fearfully, right? And there's a few other instances describing his fear. It's just a bit overdone, and it's something that I noticed. Also on page 62, we have the large priest grunted with effort as he shifted towards the next man, striking him low on the backswing, brutally pulverizing the shrieking man's leg. We don't need the brutally here. Like, pulverizing is already like a really great word. It's a really descriptive word, and brutally is just not needed. And I'm just using these as examples because that happened quite a bit, I would say, in this story, where it's just, I'm not completely against like adverbs, but here I think that it's just a bit overwritten, it's overdone. And also on page 62, on the right hand side towards the bottom, we have one of their numbers ran at him with his sword out. Should just be number there. Some story prompts. I thought this was interesting. I thought this was interesting, where we have like just two stories which are meant, just to kind of ignite, your creativity. I like them both. March of Trees and Archive of Bliss. I like them. It was interesting. I've never like really seen anything like that before, and something I've definitely never seen before is this solo RPG thing, Civil Heart. I've never played one of those, but I liked it. This was fun. This was neat. I kind of hope they keep doing this with their Anvil issues. It was definitely really cool. There are a few little things here which were issues, because it's just kind of like a pick your own adventure thing, and it's neat. Let's see, on the entry 31, it's you can go to when you read the little prompt, it's like, go to here if you do this, go to there if you do that, right? Go to number 29 or go to number 32. Going to number 32 does not work. 32 should be linked up to 29 when 29 gives you the options of 32 or 33. So there's that. There's also nothing actually leads to entry 34, and it's like entry 33. It gives you the options of 35 and 33. It should be 34 and 33. So again, just super small stuff. But those were little issues with that. Definitely really cool. There's a review for this book called Lord of a Shattered Land. Sounds interesting. I think I'll read it at some point. I like the reviews, I like the reviews where it's like kind of on Twitter. At times it's like, hey, buy this book. And there's like, a link of like retweets where it's just buy this book, buy this book, buy this book. And it's like, I don't know anything about it, and there's just so many options. There's so many choices. So it's just kind of hard to get through all of that. But this is nice. The little like more in-depth reviews. I think they're cool. I do a good job to make me like more interested, more willing to give it a shot. Then there's a little review of this comic Overmind. I think I read that a while ago. Yeah, I thought it was all right. And then we got Codename Ghost. This is my other pick. We're in this future dystopian hellhole. We got two guys who are like kind of mercenary-esque people. There's more going on than that. But we have Grizzly, our big guy, and then we have Bambi, the new recruit. He's like a warrior cop. They're trying to steal a tank from these government guys. There's like child soldiers, and it's a really cool setting. It's really interesting. I really hope the author does more with it. It doesn't say if he is or not at the little like end thing. It mentions he's working on like a Western novella. I'll probably check that out because this was written really well. This is really cool. That was Anvil 1. Interesting stuff. I would place it in like the same sphere as like the other anthologies that I've checked out. I would say that those, in terms of like stories and such, there's more story content in like your DMRs, Swords and Maidens, Bizarre Archives, Agion, that type of thing. But that's part of it because it's just formatted differently, and we don't have like the little RPG thing. We don't have like the big comic previews or like the kind of review stuff like that. So it's different, but I would say it's in the same sphere and it belongs in that sphere. I don't really like ranking by numbers. For me, it's more like, do I recommend this or not? It is a recommendation, and I'm definitely going to keep on with issue 2. What makes me consider an anthology good is like if there's one or two like great ones, and then like some decent ones, and then like there can be a few that I don't really care for that doesn't really bother me because I'm only really going to remember the great ones. I will say like maybe a little more story content. I like the reviews. I think the reviews are cool. I like that. Because it's more than just just like Twitter chain of buy this, and maybe you'll get like a sentence or something about the premise, right? But that's it. That's cool. I'll definitely review the second one when it comes out. Okay, now I wanted to briefly talk about why I don't have any other media reviews. I watched a few movies recently. I actually watched the original Bourne trilogy, with Matt Damon. I watched the first 3 movies of those because I remember some of it from when I was a kid, right? So I'm like, hey, I'll watch these. I don't really remember them too well. The movies are just like aggressively okay. They're like aggressively fine. Not like bad, but nothing like great about them. They're just fine. That's all I can really say. And I'm like, I can't do a fucking review on that. It's just, yeah, it was fine. I didn't feel like it, and I didn't know what I would really say about it. So there's that. Also, I watched Killing Them Softly because someone on my Eddie Coyle movie review, Eddie Coyle's a recommendation, but they mentioned that Killing Them Softly was based on another novel written by the guy who wrote the book for Eddie Coyle. So I'm like, cool, I'll check out Killing Them Softly. My friends were like, I don't think you'll like Killing Them Softly. And I'm like, I'll give it a shot. But I did not like the movie. The premise is great. The premise is like this criminal card game is robbed by some people, and the mob hires a hitman to go get their money back. Premise is excellent. That's really great premise. However, it's really tied into the 2008 financial crisis. It's really tied into it. And it's so overdone and bad. Like, they use this radio, and it's so fucking obnoxious. Oh my God, it sucks. So that movie wasn't great. And I didn't really want to do a video on that either. So there's that. I watched 4 movies. They all sucked. Well, not sucked, but I couldn't really do a video on them, which happens sometimes. There's actually going to be like another indie book I was going to pair up with the Anvil review. I got like 70 pages into it, and I didn't really care to keep going. It wasn't like horrible, but definitely wasn't like good. It wasn't like keeping my interest. I would say I was like indifferent to it, which is kind of a shame, but I don't really want to just do a video where it's like I can't really say anything positive about like a more indie book. I at least want to have a few positives, but I didn't really have any positives to say, so I didn't want to do a review on it. Next week, I will have a video on Aegon 6 and Berserkivs 5. I'm going to just, Godzilla vs. Kong, right? We'll see how that goes. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Thanks for watching. Dr. Infinity out.
Don't leave me here alone! Not without anyone to hate!